Hi everyone. In this session, we are going to see about inheritance in Java, superclasses and subclasses in Java. Come, let's start with the inheritance. Inheritance is a mechanism which is acquiring the properties and behaviors of base class to subclass, or else one class is allowed to acquire or inherit the features. So features here refers the data and the methods or fields and the methods of another class. From one class you are acquiring the properties and behaviors to other class. That is what called as inheritance. Inheritance represents is a relationship which also known as parent-child relationship. We are having two classes here, superclass and subclass. Superclass is a class whose features are inherited is known as Superclass is a class whose features are inherited is known as superclass, or it can be called as base class or parent class. Now we will see subclass. Subclass is a class that inherits the other class is known as subclass, or it can be called as derived class or extended class or child class. Come, let's see what is superclass and subclass. So the class which is giving the property or offering the property method is called as superclass or base class or parent class. The class which is acquiring the property methods is called as subclass or derived class or child class. So you can see here, father is parent, superclass or base class, son is subclass or derived class. Let's see syntax for doing inheritance. Class, derived class, that is child class. Extends keyword is used for inheriting from the base class. So this is the syntax. Class declaration of the derived class extends the base class name from which class you are inheriting, and within a block we will be having methods and fields of this derived class. So extends is a keyword. We are making a new class that derives from an existing class. So let's see an example. So class parent is having its own methods and fields. Class child extends, so child is the name of the child class, extends from the parent class. So parent is the class name of the base class. So the methods and fields of parent class is inherited in the child class. So readily available, acquired in the child class. So let's see an example of inheritance. So have this base class is interest and derived class is home loan. Coming over here, so class interest is the base class which is having a method called public void get data and other fields. So as of now I have only one method over here. So this void get data is the function or method belongs to base class. So coming to subclass home loan, so the home loan is a subclass or child class which inherits from the interest base class. So class derived class extends base class name. So base class is interest. So here public void compute interest is the method belongs to home loan, and the void get data is inherited. It is available inside the child class home loan. So because of the extends keyword and inheritance, the void get data of the base class is available in the home loan child class. Come, let's see how it is working. So coming to the main method class bank is the main method class. In the public static void main, I am creating the object for the child class. So home loan is the child class, base class is interest class, home loan is the child class. So I am creating an object for the base class, child class. For child class or subclass I am creating object. So I am calling getData method which is belongs to base class which is inherited to the subclass, so that I am calling with the derived class object m.getData, which means this getData is inherited to child class home loan. So with the home loan object I can call both the methods. So m is the object of the child class, I am calling getData, and one more method belongs to base classes, child classes, compute interest, I am calling that with the child class object. Right. So this is how It's an example of simple inheritance. Only one base class, only one derived class. In a main function, I'm creating object for child class and calling the all the methods. So this is the example of simple inheritance. So already I told you, right? So inheritance is a relationship. So have this example. A public class animal is the base class. So from the animal class, mammal class, reptile class, dog class, all these classes extends the animal class. So here mammal, reptile, dog are the children of animal class, or the class mammal, class reptile, class dog extends the animal class. So one parent class, three child class. So with the help of the extends keyword, subclasses will be able to inherit all the properties and of the superclass animal. So except the private properties, all the properties, protected and public properties of the animal class is readily available in the children class, mammal, reptile and dog. So here I can say mammal is a animal, reptile is a animal, dog is a mammal, dog is a mammal, because dog extending from the mammal, so that dog extends mammal. So hence dog is an animal as well. So because dog extends mammal, mammal extends animal. So from animal to mammal, mammal to dog. So that is a relationship. That is what which is extending from base class means. That's what called as is a relationship. Now we'll see the types of inheritance. So we are having 5 types of inheritance: single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, multiple inheritance, and the hybrid inheritance. So these last 2 inheritances are implemented or achieved through the interfaces, because class doesn't support multiple inheritance and the hybrid inheritance. So let's see one by one what is the syntax and example with the diagram. So we'll start with the single inheritance. So single inheritance syntax is this one, that is public. So only one base class, only one derived class. So hereafter I will refer base class and derived class. So you can refer superclass, subclass, or parent class, child class. So hereafter I will refer base class and the derived class. Base, derived. So A is the base class, B is the derived class. So only one base class, only one derived class. That's going to be called as single inheritance. That's what one class extends another class. That is only one class only. So see the syntax: public class A. So variables and methods of class A will be coming over here, and public class B extends from A. That means all the properties and methods of class A will be extended or available to the class B. So inside, if you see inside class B, the method variables and methods of class A available, and variables and methods of class B also available. So this is what single inheritance. And the second category is multi-level inheritance. Multi-level means, so you can see over here, so base class, this is derived class. So from this derived class, one more base class, one more derived class is acquired. So from A, B is getting property, from B, C is getting property. Hence C is getting A's properties also. Getting, so this is level 1 and this is level 2. So multi-level inheritance. So from A to B, methods will be methods and data will be inherited. From B, all the methods and data which is inherited from A as well as B's own methods and data will be inherited to C also. This is what called as multi-level inheritance. From A to B, B to C. So in a multi-level inheritance, one class can inherit from another derived class. So you can see with the example, with the diagram, you can construct the syntax. So public class A definition, which is having variables and methods of class A. So coming to class B, so what is the keyword for inheritance? Extends. So class B extends from A. In turn, what happens? Variables and methods of class A is available in class B. So now if you see inside B, we'll be having methods and variables of A as well as B. So in the third level, class C extends class B. In turn, all the methods and variables of class available in class B inherited to class C along with the so A is in variable methods are inherited by this property. So because of the extents B, so all the method and variable available inside B is inherited or acquired in the class C. Also, it is having variables and methods of class C. So this is what called as multi-level inheritance from A to B, from B to C. It's simple. A is a base class and for B, and B is a base class for C. Right? That's what a multi-level inheritance. You see the third example of single inheritance. So what we had here, we are going to implement with the simple statements. So class A definition. So class A contains one function called display A. For the ease of understanding, I place the string like this: display method of class A. Only one method available inside class A. And class B extends class A. That is, class B extends A. Single inheritance. So A's methods and variables are inherited to B class. So in the B class, it's having its own method, void display B. So see the display B. So here one SOP, display method of class B. For ease of understanding, I use this SOP for the string to display method of class A, display method of class B. So in a public class single, this is the main method class. So here I'm having public static void main. So I'm creating object for the derived class B. So I'm creating object for derived class B, which in turn the methods is available or accessible by the B's class. So because it is inherited, it is available inside A, say inside B, so that A's method can be accessed with the B's object. So logically, the methods and variables of class A is available inside class B. That is what here single inheritance or simple inheritance. So I'm creating object for the derived class B. With that object I'm calling base class method and derived class method, because base class method is inherited to the class B. That's it. So with that we are finishing the single inheritance. So next example of multi-level inheritance. So have this diagram. So from A to B, from B to C. A is a base class for B, B is a base class for C. So that is what. So have this syntax, and we'll implement the simple. Right. Class A definition. It is having one public method. Method name is display A, one SOP and display string. And class B extends A. That is, class B extends this class, which means display A is inherited to class B. So here display B is the local method of the class B. So coming over here, class C extends class B, which means all the methods and variables inside class B is inherited to class C. So because of this inheritance, A's method is available inside B. Because of this inheritance, A's method, B's method available in class B is inherited to class C. So if you display C is the method of local method of class C. So here inside class C, display A method will be there, display B method will be there, and display C method will be there. So methods of base class A and B is available inside C. So you can create object for class C, that's enough. So in a public static void main, in the main method class multi-level, I'm creating object for the derived class, last derived class C, that is C. And with that object I'm calling A's method, B's method and C's method, right? So because inside C, display A method is available, display B method is available, and of course display C method is available. So because of the inheritance of class B, B is inheriting from class A, so A method is coming to B, and A and B method will be coming to C by this inheritance. So that with the object of C, I'm calling the methods A, method B and method C. Right. That's what a multi-level inheritance. Next we will see the third example of inheritance, hierarchical inheritance. Hierarchy means only one base class will be there. From one base class, we'll be having number of derived class, or else see the diagram, only one base class, two or more derived class. So the classes B, C, D are the derived class, getting the properties and methods from one single base class, from one to many. That is what called as hierarchical inheritance. Hierarchy you can have, right? So only one leader will be there, and these are all the subordinates for this leader, right? So from class A, the classes B, C, D are inheriting methods and variables. So the methods of class A and methods and variables of class A is given to all the subclasses, right? So that is what hierarchical inheritance. So in hierarchical inheritance, one class serves as a base class for more than one derived class or subclass. So you can have this simple structure. So class A is having variables and methods. Class B extends A. Class C extends A. Class D extends A. So the classes B, C, D, all these classes extending same base class. That is what here. The classes B, C, D are the derived class extending the single base class. That is what called as. So what happens here? Inside B, inside C, inside D, all the methods and variables of class A is available or acquired. That is what called as hierarchical inheritance. One base class, multiple derived class. One base class, multiple derived class. This is what called as, or many derived class is called as hierarchical inheritance. You can compare with this. You can compare this diagram with the organizational structure. So organization, only one head will be there, and will be having a number of subordinates will be there under one head. That is what hierarchy of inheritance. And with the same, so the example is written with this diagram. So have the class A as a one base class, and have the number of derived class inheriting from single base class. So single base class is class A. So class A is having method display A and SOP string, and class B extends class A, class C extends class A, class D extends class A. All the BCD classes extending same class. So what happens? So the display A function will be inherited to class B, class C, and as well as class A. So here you can create an object, because we are having multiple or number of derived classes, right? So B, C, D are the number of derived classes. So you have to create that many objects to access the respective class methods and variables. So for that, I'm creating the derived class objects B, C, D. So obj1 for B class, obj2 for C class, obj3 for D class. So since we are having different or many derived classes, you have to create that many of objects to access the methods and variables of the particular derived class. So obj1, 2, 3 are the derived classes of the derived class objects of B, C, D respectively. So obj1 belongs to B class. So obj1 dot display A, obj1 dot display A belongs to the class B, because in a class B a copy of class display function is available. In class A also a copy of display function will be available, and in class D also a copy of display function will be available because of the inheritance. So obj2 for the class C. So class C is display C function will be called, and as well as display function can also be called. And obj3 is for class D. So in a class D, display D function is there, along with the display A also available because of this inheritance. So with the obj3 we can call the display A and display D. So the single class is inherited to the multiple derived classes. That is what called as hierarchical inheritance. And next we will see multiple inheritance. That is fourth category in the inheritance, multiple inheritance. So you can have the multiple inheritance, multiple base classes. So if you are inheriting the properties and methods, or acquire properties and method from more than one base class, that is going to be called as multiple inheritance. You have this from thumb rule, multiple base class. That is what called as multiple inheritance. So we are having more than one base class here. A and B are the two base classes. from these two class C classes inherited. So all the methods and variables of class A, all the methods and variables of class B will be available in the class appear to the class B. So here in Java there is one problem. If you are having same method in the same method name in the class A and class B, there is an ambiguity. Ambiguity means a kind of redundancy. Same copy of class A is having some method display, for example, class B is also having display method, same function name means. So the compiler will confuse which function it has to call in from the class C. So to avoid that one, Java is not supporting the multiple inheritance of classes. So instead of A and B classes, I can have A and B as a interface. So if you are having A and B as the interface, even though if you are having same function in the A and B interfaces, only the ambiguity can be avoided. How means? I will show an example how to avoid the ambiguity. Even though if you are having same class name in the same function name in the A and B, only one function will be taken into account for the implementation of the interface A and interface B, or else as of now you have this thumb rule, multiple inheritance is supported by the interfaces, not by the classes. You can't have the multiple classes as their inheritance. Otherwise you can have the multiple interfaces as the option to implement the multiple inheritance. So that is what I have placed here, interface A and interface B. If you put class A and class B, which is not, you can put extends class A and class B is not allowed in Java. There is a restriction because of this ambiguity problem. So that they are going for the interface. With interface we are having the property, right? So interface only declaration is available inside the interface. The implementation is available, can be done in the subclass or in derived class. So for that only class is multiple classes is not supported, or multiple inheritance is not supported in Java. You can have the multiple interfaces. So have another thumb rule also, wherever you are having interfaces, you will be having implements keyword. So if you are inheriting interface, you can have the implement. If you are having classes, you can have extends keyword for inheritance, right? So like that, interfaces is always implemented, because inside interface you are having only declaration of method, not definition. That method is defined in the subclass only. So that is what the keyword implements. Interface always implements, class always extends. So the here public class C extends A comma B is not allowed in Java. So instead of that, we can have multiple base interfaces which is going to be implemented. That is what called as multiple inheritance, but using interfaces. So whatever the methods is declared in class A, whatever the methods is declared in class B, all these methods are to be implemented in class C because of the interface property implements, right? So where implemented methods of A, implemented methods of B. So only declaration will be there in the base interface. So those methods are implemented in the subclass class C. So that is what called as multiple inheritance. We'll see in simple example. So how this interface A, it is having one method display, right? Interface B, a method called show. So two interfaces, I'm having multiple interfaces. So class C implements A comma B. So it is implementing interface A and interface B. So here I didn't use same function name to avoid the confusion. So I'm using different function name. You can use same function name also. Only one function can be taken. I'll show in the next example how to do that. So as of now, display belongs to interface A, show is belongs to interface. Only declaration. The implementation of display and show is happening in the class C only. So that public void display, this is actually overriding the display or implementing the display method of interface A. And coming over here, public void show method is implemented, overriding the show method, which is belongs to the interface B. So the two methods, display and the show, methods are implemented in the interface C. So sorry, class C. These interface A and interface B are implemented in the class C. So see the diagram. So class A and interface A and interface B are inherited, and methods of interface A, methods of interface B will be implemented in class C. So now see the example. Interface A method display, interface B method display. Instead of extends, I am using implements A comma B interfaces. These two methods are implemented in the class C. So display method and show method is defined in class C. That's what called as implements. So now I'm creating the public static void main. I'm creating the class object for final class, right? So last class is derived class is class C. So for class C I'm creating, not final class, derived class. So derived class C I'm creating the object M, and I'm calling the display method and show method. So the display and show method belongs to two interfaces. Those methods are implemented in my class C, and for the class C I'm creating object and I'm calling the methods. So this is how the multiple inheritance can be achieved. And how you can say how you are reducing ambiguity. You can change this function name as display. You can define both the display. Only one function will be called. I'll show in another class how to do that. And now we'll see next type of inheritance, that is hybrid inheritance, or last type of inheritance, hybrid inheritance. So here it's a combination of the previously said inheritance. For example, combination of any two inheritance, that is single, multi-level, multiple. If you combine any of those inheritance, you will get the hybrid inheritance. So here also in hybrid inheritance, wherever you are having multiple inheritance, that will be possible with the interfaces. So have this example diagram. Forget about D class, only ABC. This is the you take only ABC classes. This is going to be kind of what? Hierarchical inheritance. So one class is extended to the two subclasses or two derived classes. Hierarchical inheritance. So forget about class A. Have this B, C, D alone. So multiple base classes. So B and C are the multiple base classes. From that D is getting the property. So this is what called as combination of hierarchical and the multiple inheritance. So we'll see, and there is a question you can ask. So whenever we are having multiple base classes, it is not possible in Java, right? Yes, it is correct. So class B and the class C, if it is having a single hierarchical mean, there is not an issue. If you are combining the hierarchical and the multiple inheritance, while implementing the multiple inheritance, class B and class C is not allowed. In turn, you can have interface B and interface C, right? So you can have all the ABC as an interface to implement the hierarchical inheritance. To implement the hybrid inheritance. So interface A, interface B, interface C, and finally class D. So we'll see this one. So hybrid inheritance is the combination of single or hierarchical or multiple and or combination. So if it is a mix of two or more of the above said types of inheritance. So we'll have the class, instead of class I'm having interface A, this is interface A. So this interface is extended, implemented in this interface B and interface C. So hierarchical inheritance. So interface B extends A. So here B also interface. You cannot write the methods of the class C. So that I am using extends keyword. Right? You can ask, sir, you say it right. Your interface is always implemented, right? Correct. But the derived class is also an interface. So that here you can't write implementation. You will be extending only. So that I'm using extends keyword. Similarly, in this class also, this also interface. So you cannot implement anything over here. So that you are simply extending. So in last class, derived class D, I am implementing the B and C interface. In turn, I am also implementing. The interface A. Right. So public class D implements B and C. Inside B and C, I am having A and A classes in both the interfaces, that also implemented inside D. So methods of class A, methods of class B, methods of class C is implemented in class D. So this is what called as hybrid inheritance. So have this diagram, A, B, C are interfaces, D is alone class. So with that skeleton you can write a program. So interface A, public void display, that is declaration, no definition. So interface B extends A. Here also declaration, no definition. So the display function is extended here or acquired here. Interface C extends A. So display method of class interface A is acquired here, no implementation. Here also no implementation because it is B and C are the interfaces. You can't implement any methods over there. So that I'm going for class D implements interface B and interface C. So you can ask a question, sir, the display function is inherited to class B and as well as class C while implementing. So 2 times the display function is going to be inherited, right? It won't happen because of the ambiguity avoidance property. So only 1 time the display function will be inherited to the class D. Though it is having 2 copies in class B and class C, only 1 copy will be given to class D, that will be implemented. So display function of class A, show function of display function of interface A, show function of interface B, and print function of interface C is implemented in class D. So the methods of class B, methods of interface B, interface C, also method of interface A is implemented here in class D. That is display, show, print or the methods belongs to interface A, B, C respectively. So here implements B comma C is the multiple inheritance. So here interface B extends A, interface C extends A is the hierarchical inheritance. A combination of hierarchical and multiple provides hybrid inheritance. So here for which class I have to create object? The last derived class is class D. For class D only I have to create object and I have to I can call all the methods. So all these methods are belongs to different interfaces, but it is implemented in the derived class D and calling display, show, print of the class D, which is implemented in class D. So that's about the inheritance. Thank you.